over the course of the past 2 weeks, my most consistent spiritual practice has been using the surrender prayer from lesson 71 in A Course in Miracles. And so I thought I'd just share a little bit about, kind of how I apply that on a daily basis, and just some of the short-term impacts and outcomes that it's been having. I've been navigating a really challenging season of life here. So I'll start by sharing, kind of the frame for the surrender prayer. So this is based in, again, lesson 71 of A Course in Miracles in the workbook. But the surrender prayer goes, God, what would you have me do? Where would you have me go? What would you have me say? And to whom? And just to give you a little bit of experience for what that looks like for me, initially when I first read this was back, months ago. It's presently December. And I first read this in lesson 71 back in, I would guess it would be like March time frame. And so back then I probably went through it, kind of once or twice, practiced it. But now it's become a repetitive part of my daily practice. And so, in this season of life where I have been bumping up against the edge of financial uncertainty in a way that has just pushed me to fully surrender. I've shared in some previous videos how in past experiences of this recurring lesson in life for me, I've gotten to, kind of like 80% surrender. This I feel called to go to 100% surrender, basically handing this challenge over to God and saying, thy will, not mine, be done. Or this is so much bigger than I can logically figure a way through. I'm giving this up to you to give me guidance on how to navigate the path that you've created for me here. And so what that looks like on a daily basis is, typically I've said and recited this prayer a few times before I get out of bed. And what that viscerally feels like is I really slow down each component. And as I say the first question, God, what would you have me do? Or sometimes I'll say it, God, what would you have me do today? And then I pause and I breathe. And for me, Joel Osteen has this saying of, we don't hear the answer out loud, but for him, he talks about it like a still small voice. For me, it comes in like waves of energy. I feel it back here, like almost like if you can picture a light bulb and the filament that runs between it, as I pray and I ask the question, that's what feels like it's lighting up in my head. It's like that filament. And then, I feel the energy all around here. So that's what happens when I ask that question. And then I'll cycle through and I'll ask the next and feel another wave of energy. And usually, kind of I'll sit and I'll hold and I'll ride that wave until it comes down and then ask the next question. And what I'm starting to see or believe in this experience is that what's happening to me in those moments are that, I'm opening the portal or welcoming in the answers that seed themselves. And the answers don't come to me right away, but they feel like seeds have been planted, like the soil has been fertilized for when that moment hits, that I'll have that moment of inspiration to take action on it. in the tangible real world here. And so some examples of what that looks like are, over the course of the past couple of weeks, leading into a Monday, there's part of a small group I'm a part of that my friend leads energy alignments. And, with my financial world being so discombobulated right now, the practicality of attending those sessions felt, like there were other things to practically be done. But, as I sat with it, I received such clear energetic guidance that I was meant to be there. And I can now look back on the last 2 weeks of being there, having been some of the most supportive and nurturing experiences that I could have asked for. So what that practically looked like was, I asked first thing in the morning, not specifically about those, but when I asked the question, am I meant to be on this session? It rang through and present with a clear yes. Other examples of were, I was thinking about who to, within our sales pipeline, reach out to and with what message. And kind of mid-afternoon, the Wednesday before US Thanksgiving, an answer came to me, here's the message, like 2 lines that you're meant to write, and here's the range of people that you're meant to send this to. And, zero expectations of what that was going to generate, but the sale we just closed just after 4 o'clock on Friday was a direct result of that batch of messages that I sent out. Somebody who we'd initially connected with a year and a half ago that responded back and said, hey, do you still have space in your upcoming event? And I was like, yeah, let's hop on a call. He took the very first time slot that was available on Tuesday morning after the long weekend. And everything lined up, and that brought him back, kind of into the fold. And I can foresee some amazing connections happening between him and members of our community. So these are some of the practical examples of what this looks like. And this is a practice that I repeat over and over and over throughout the course of my day. There are a lot of things that call me to prayer throughout the course of a day now. And as I've shared before, this is like my first year of leaning into prayer. This isn't something I've got years of experience. As I got into practicing the workbook in A Course in Miracles, that is what, really got me into this. And so, what calls me to prayer are moments when I feel out of my depth as the human experience of myself, and I really feel like I need to fully surrender the experience up to God to understand the path that I believe that we co-created when I came into this lifetime. So I have had tinnitus for the course of the past 2 years. Anytime that ringing in my ears happens, I listen to that as God's clarion call for me to step into prayer. That's been my response that has helped me find peace in an otherwise, previously debilitating experience for me. Anytime I feel like, there's got to be a better answer than the one that I'm intellectually creating, I pause. I go, and as David Guillaume talks about, we'll walk and ask God my questions out loud, or I'll lie down and, really tune deeply into that energy. Like when I can feel that God energy present, I know something positive is happening, and lying down is a really effective way for me to get into that space. So those are some of the, ways that I've been applying the surrender prayer from A Course in Miracles. So, God, what would you have me do? Where would you have me go? What would you have me say? And to whom? Shooting this video for you was one of those examples that popped up this morning of what I was meant to say and to whom.